This is Fred Beck from Fred Talks Fighting, proudly sponsored by Empire Fire Store. Today I'm very lucky to be joined by, once again, the one and only Mike Costello. Mike, I have to say it's nice to see you again. It's been a while since you've done one of these. How have you been?
Yeah, all good, very well, thank you. Looking forward to another good show Saturday night.
What are you up to nowadays, Mike? Because I mean the last interview we did was in October, so it's quite a while ago. What have you been up to in that time?
Yeah, we've been very busy with DAZN, all the shows that we've had in the UK, also in Spain and in Italy, and been doing a bit of athletics for the BBC, which I've been doing for many years, and I'm allowed to go back and work on athletics with the BBC, so very happy about that.
I know you've just come back from doing the athletics, and it's been a while since you've kind of covered that, kind of commentated on it as well. What's that like going back to the athletics?
Yeah, it was great. I've spent a long time in the sport, met a lot of people, just as I have done in boxing, so it was like going back to see another family when I was at the British trials in Manchester a couple of weeks ago, and it's
like a high school reunion then.
Yeah, it was great. Just, people I hadn't seen for a year or more in some cases, and catch up and to watch some great sport.
Okay, then that sounds pretty nice. So talk to me about the fight you'll be commentating on Saturday night, Chisora versus Pulev. How do you see it? How do you see it playing out?
Well, if we look at the first fight for a guide, I don't think either of them have changed that much, and I wonder whether it might be a very similar fight. Derek Chisora is talking at the press conference about being very aggressive. It's the only way he knows how, and it's a case of whether he can break down Pulev and whether Pulev can get behind that left-hand jab as he did last time around. It could be fairly tepid as it was last time, but if Derek can close down the gap between them, then maybe it will explode. Let's hope it does.
Is a loss here kind of over to Chisora? Is that kind of career over if he does lose, or do you want to carry on the way he's going?
I think the answer to that question is a familiar one. It depends how he loses. If he's beaten up early on, then obviously he's got to be looking at the exit signs. But if it's close again, as it was against Joseph Parker ×2, and he's very competitive within the fight, then, as we heard at the press conference, he has no desire to walk away at this stage.
Obviously, you're at the press conference right now, and it kind of kicked off at the very end. Do you always expect it to kick off when Chisora's in town?
I didn't really just taking into account his attitude during the build-up so far, but with Derek Chisora, you just never know. And it did seem to get a little bit edgy when they posed for photographs afterwards on the stage, but looking at Pulev, he always seemed to be in control. So to me, there seemed a sense of Derek really trying to rouse himself, galvanise himself for the fight. Maybe he's been struggling for motivation.
Maybe that's the reason. I've got to ask, how's Steve Bunce doing? I haven't seen him in a few months.
Yeah, Steve's flying with the podcast and all his work for other outlets, BT Sport, of course. But I was on the podcast with him 5 or 6 weeks ago. We went through the pound for pound rankings, and it was great to be back. And I hope to be an occasional partner of his in the future as well.
Do you miss the podcast?
That's one of the elements I do miss. The coverage, the extensive coverage of athletics and the podcast, but I've made my choice and I'm very happy doing what I'm doing at DAZN, and I think we're only going to grow from here.
Awesome, Mike. That's really nice to hear. Thanks for the time, mate.
And all the best, Fred. Cheers, mate.